तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय
सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति 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 असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय शांति 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 Good morning. Please see page number 19. These pages contain the educational philosophy of Swami Vivekananda. I think one or two quotes we have already covered. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs right there undigested all your life. We must have life-building, man-making, character-making assimilation of ideas. If you have assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart a whole library. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs right there, undigested all your life. Today our education system has become like that. Education means cramming the brain with information. From LKG to PG, what is our education? Cram the brain, stuff the brain with information. To such an extent you stuff the brain with information, you hardly get time to think. So there is unmistakable proof today that the conventional education system is destroying the natural intelligence of man. So because you are always preoccupied with cramming the brain with information, assignments, tests, unit tests, then quarterly tests, then monthly, half-yearly tests, then final exam, assignments, continuously packed the brain with information, information that is available in the book. And where is the time for you to think, to reflect, to cogitate, to assimilate, to understand? That's why you need to give that space and that time to children. You just give some suggestions, some information is okay. Then actually they should assimilate the ideas. And that ideas that they assimilate must transform into wisdom. Basically, the purpose of education is to help understand life in a better way. And because we don't allow that space, we don't allow that time, it's only information. They don't know how to process that information. That's why educated man is more confused. So uneducated people, you just illiterate people, their common sense is intact at least. They may not be as informed as you are, we, the educated people, but their common sense at least is intact. And it's easy to teach something to them than to an educated man today. That's actually, the experience of many people who are in that field of education. If you have assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart a whole library. So, education should help us build our character, shape our personality. That is the primary objective of education. If it is not helping us in that direction, it is no education at all. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to tell a story. There was a boatman. He used to ply people across the river and used to make his living. One day, one scholar, one pandit, was his customer. Okay. So the scholar actually entered the boat. So boat was midway through the river. So scholar wanted to engage the boatman in some kind of discussion, because scholars are always, they have the reaching. They want somebody to discuss and debate with them. So he asked him actually, "Hello, boatman, do you know Sanskrit?" The boatman said, "Sir, I don't know. I'm an illiterate man." So again he asked him, "Do you know some Sanskrit grammar at least?" "No, sir, I'm a literate man. I don't know anything." "Have you read at least any scripture?" The boatman said, "No, sir, absolutely. I mean, so when he first said that I don't know Sanskrit, the scholar said 25% of your life is waste. When he said that I don't even know grammar, the 50% of life you are gone a waste. When he said he has not read any scriptures, the scholar said 75% of your life is a waste. So then suddenly there was a storm. The boat started rocking violently. So boatman tried his best actually, to steer it clear, but he understood that it is not an ordinary storm. It is a severe storm and the boat would get capsized and boat is going to sink into the river very soon. Then he calmly asked the scholar, "Sir, do you know swimming?" The scholar said, "So sorry, I don't know swimming." "Then, sir, 100% of your life is waste." Where the boatman jumped into the river and swam to safety, and the scholar got drowned in the river. So today that is the condition actually. When our common sense actually will lose through the educational process. I think it is Albert Einstein who said that 75% of the natural intelligence gets destroyed in this conventional process of education, because you can't think clearly because you are loaded with information all the time. That's why Swamiji again and again is saying actually, education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs right there, undigested. Undigested information. Many of the people today still think that actually information is education. Internet and computer has so much of information. You don't have to store all that up here. There is a machine which stores up the information, right? Machine is there to store up information for us. Why to actually cram our memory card with information? So assimilate the right ideas, translate them into your character, put them into practice, and then evolve. So when you have the character, you have everything under the sun. There's nothing more to know, there's nothing more to acquire. Livelihood will happen anyway. But today our concern is that how will I survive? How will I survive? How will I survive? From very childhood, early childhood, this is the problem. Unconsciously, parents and teachers infuse that fear into the subconscious mind of the child. The child, he doesn't even know. Constantly, when you say that if you don't get good marks, if you don't get good grades, your survival will be a threat. Basically, we don't use this language. But what we tell is indirectly that if you don't get good marks and good grades, you know, you will not survive. That's what we are saying, conveying the message. Then fear comes into that. Fear builds up automatically. So everybody running and running and running and confused and running. And otherwise, God has endowed this species with such intelligence. The simple process of survival, we have made it in a mess. You just see animals, how they conduct themselves. Absolutely no mess. When it comes to this question of procuring the basic things like food, reproduction, sleep, and maybe shelter. So they don't make that fuss. A lion actually you just see morning actually when it starts out from its den. Do you see any tension on its face? Will I get my food or today? No tension, absolutely. Do you see any tension or anxiety on the face of the lion? Calmly it conducts itself, it goes into the forest, searches for its prey, it finds some animal and eats it up and comes back, nicely sleeps in its den. For other human beings to acquire the basic necessities of life, 2 square meals per day, 2 pairs of clothes and little roof over head, 20 years of education. Okay. Animals, they don't go to any school, but they get their food, they make their dwelling, they make their shelter. So what for? There is something fundamentally wrong in the system. That's why Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa never went to school. When his brothers asked him to go to school, he said, I don't want to go to school. Why? This livelihood education I don't need. So education has a different purpose. That purpose will not be taught here in schools. So he became a kind of rebel. And that man has created a Vivekananda. And Vivekananda said, not one Vivekananda. If he wishes, actually, he can create 1,000 Vivekanandas from a clod of earth. That's how actually Vivekananda pays his tributes to his guru who did not go to school. So we need to think and we need to reflect the purpose and objective of education and see that if it doesn't serve the real purpose, better actually be off from the system so that you will be now able to understand life in a better perspective and your chances of success and your chances of creating greater impact in the society. Thank you. Have a nice day.